Christmas night passes, and one person never walks through the door. No call, no apology, no explanation. A little girl cries while the house stays quiet, and the silence feels louder than any fight ever did. Yara appears online in a Santa onesie, holding Mylah close, eyes glossy, voice unsteady, trying to stay composed while her family moment collapses in real time. If you are new here, I am Sabrina, and you are watching TLC Drama Live. Subscribe if you want sharp, honest takes on reality TV behavior, and tell me in the comments what crossed the line for you in this moment, because this night changed how many people see this marriage. This scene hits hard because it lands before context. No backstory first. No explanation. Just absence. Christmas night is not a random date. For Yara, it is a reminder of distance. Family overseas. No parents dropping by. No childhood home to retreat to. When you immigrate, holidays stop being casual. They turn into emotional checkpoints. You either feel held or you feel exposed. And on this night, Yara felt exposed. This is not a strip club story yet. It is an abandonment story. Timing matters. Being gone on a random Tuesday hurts. Being gone on Christmas with your child at home cuts deeper. That is why viewers reacted so fast. People recognize the feeling before they process the details. A partner missing, when presence matters, most sends a message, even if no words are spoken. Yara does not scream. She does not rant. She sits there, live, holding her daughter, trying to keep it together. That restraint tells you more than anger ever could. She looks like someone waiting for a door to open while already knowing it will not. Mylah senses it too. Kids always do. They react to energy long before they understand events. Tears do not come from confusion alone. They come from instability. The camera becomes a witness. Some viewers call it dramatic. Others call it real. Both reactions exist because public pain makes people uncomfortable. But when private conversations stop working, people look for any place where they feel heard. Going live is not always strategy. Sometimes it is loneliness looking for oxygen. Stay with this moment, because what looks like a bad night starts to read like a pattern once the pieces line up. The question forms quickly. Was this a one-night mess, or the breaking point of something that has been cracking for years? That question keeps people watching, because the answer changes everything. If it is one night, repair feels possible. If it is a pattern, then Christmas is not the cause. It is the reveal. Yara has spoken before about feeling alone in the United States, about missing home, about adjusting to motherhood without the support system she expected. Those comments matter here. They frame why this night lands heavier for her than it might for someone surrounded by family. When you already feel isolated, absence feels intentional, even if it was not meant that way. Meanwhile, the house stays quiet. No footsteps. No keys. No check-in. Silence stretches from hours into a full night. At some point, silence stops being neutral. It starts feeling like a decision. Viewers project their own experiences onto that gap. Waiting by the phone. Checking the clock. Telling yourself not to overreact, then realizing you are reacting because something real is happening. This is where the open loop locks in. If this were only about drinking, the story would look different. If it were only about temptation, it would play out another way. But this is about presence, about choosing where to be when your family expects you home, about what absence communicates when no explanation arrives. Mourning does not bring relief. It brings escalation. Because nights like this do not end quietly. They roll forward. They demand acknowledgement. They force decisions. And when the sun comes up, the question shifts from where was he to what happens next. The morning after does not soften the damage, it hardens it. And once daylight hits, there is no pretending the night did not matter. What follows begins with a single post that turns private pain into public reality. And once that line is crossed, there is no easy way back. The post lands early. Not a caption full of accusations. Not a rant. A photo. Divorce papers on a table. Names visible. Date visible. Silence louder than any paragraph. Yara does not claim cheating. She does not name a place. She shows paperwork and steps back. What appears matters as much as what stays absent. No timeline offered, no demand listed, no plea for sympathy typed out. Viewers project meaning onto blank space, because blank space invites imagination. Paper feels final to many people. Paper also feels strategic to others. Both reactions surface fast. Shock hits first. Fans wake up and see a marriage placed on pause with one image. Support follows close behind. Messages praise strength. Messages offer comfort. Skepticism arrives last, yet stays longest. Some viewers ask why Instagram enters a private crisis. Others question timing. Nobody stays neutral for long. This reaction split says more about audience psychology than marriage law. People trust images more than words. A document feels official. A document feels like a step taken after thought, not impulse. Yet public posts also signal distress. When private talks stall, people choose a space where response feels guaranteed. Watch how the paper shifts focus from behavior to intent, because once intent enters the chat, every detail gets re-examined. Calling the post proof misses the point. Proof answers facts. This post communicates boundaries. Showing papers draws a line. A line says, conversation already failed somewhere else. Public escalation rarely starts as Plan A. Public escalation starts when Plan A stops working. Some fans frame the post as leverage, others frame the post as surrender. Both readings ignore a third option. Communication. When words do not move a partner, symbols replace sentences. Paper speaks in a way talking no longer does. Yara avoids claims on purpose. No cheating allegation appears. No strip club mention appears. No insult appears. Absence of claims protects credibility. Allegedly matters here. Without allegations, no retraction becomes necessary later. This restraint suggests awareness of consequences. Skeptics argue planning. They point to timing. Morning after Christmas. Camera ready. Document printed. Those details raise questions worth asking. Planning does not equal manipulation. Planning sometimes equals clarity reached earlier, then delayed until a breaking moment arrives. Supporters argue pain. They point to the night before. They point to a child crying. They point to isolation. Emotional overflow does not follow neat schedules. Pain looks organized once emotions settle enough to act. Hold both ideas at once, because reaction and preparation often overlap during emotional emergencies. Public divorce filings stir discomfort because they break an unspoken rule. Marriage trouble stays private until resolution. Reality television already broke privacy long ago. Posting paperwork extends the same logic. When life played out on screen, audience presence never vanished. Another layer sits underneath. Control. Paper shifts power. Silence removes power. After a night of waiting, showing documents restores agency. Agency matters deeply for someone far from home, far from family, raising a child inside uncertainty. Audience debate heats up because motive stays unclear. Did Yara plan this as leverage to force change? Did Yara react from pain after one night too many? Both paths remain open. No statement closes either door. Judgment rush feels tempting. Certainty feels comfortable. Yet motives hide behind mixed emotions. Hurt people plan. Planned actions still rise from hurt. Neither erases the other. The unanswered question hangs heavy. Was this move designed to wake someone up, or designed to walk away? Until actions follow paperwork, motive stays unresolved. An unresolved motive keeps viewers watching, waiting for the next move to reveal which story fits. Attention shifts now, because this story never belonged to one person alone. Jovi enters the frame with history already attached. Viewers know the pattern because the show documented it for years. Alcohol shows up often. Nightlife stays close. Party energy followed him from city to city, even after marriage, even after fatherhood. This matters because context shapes interpretation. One bad night feels different when past seasons already showed similar choices. On screen, Jovi laughed off concerns. He framed nights out as stress relief. He treated criticism as overreaction. None of this comes from rumor. It aired. It played. It stayed in audience memory. When the fallout hits, Jovi responds with denial. He denies cheating. He denies crossing certain lines. He does not deny being out. He does not deny drinking. That distinction matters. Denial answers one accusation. It does not explain impact. Saying nothing physical happened skips the emotional damage left behind. Listen closely here, because denial answers facts, while explanation addresses harm, and viewers notice the gap immediately. An explanation would speak to absence, to timing, to why Christmas night ended without contact. Instead, focus narrows to fidelity alone. Fans hear the subtext. If cheating did not happen, then damage feels minimized. For a partner waiting at home with a child, minimization hurts almost as much as betrayal. Then, TLC airs footage that changes the temperature. Strip club scene surface. Cash exchanged with a dancer. Fans notice resemblance to Jovi's past preferences and begin drawing connections. This framing stays careful. No claim of intimacy appears. No allegation moves beyond what cameras show. Audience perception fills the blanks. Some viewers see harmless tipping. Others see disrespect layered onto an already painful night. The resemblance discussion stays in fan space, not fact space. That distinction matters for fairness. What matters more is optics. Optics shape trust. Jovi's response circles back to denial. No cheating, no wrongdoing beyond drinking. That response addresses one accusation while leaving the real wound untouched. The wound is absence. The wound is priority. The wound is choosing elsewhere when home needed presence. Ask yourself this, because the answer drives the rest of the story. Does denial heal abandonment, or does it sidestep it? This question exposes why cheating might not sit at the center. For many partners, the issue runs deeper. Coming home late feels different than not coming home at all. A text would have softened damage. Silence sharpened it. Silence reads as choice. Public interviews show Jovi framing the night as misunderstanding. Stress appears in his language. Work pressure appears. Social expectation appears. Those explanations speak to motivation. They do not speak to consequence. Motivation explains why someone acts. Consequence explains why someone hurts. Fans split again. Some accept his denial and move on. Others focus on pattern. Pattern shapes trust more than promises. Pattern teaches partners what to expect next time. The footage does not prove infidelity. It proves environment. Environment sends messages. A strip club on Christmas carries symbolism whether intended or not. Symbols cut deep during family moments. Doubt settles in. Maybe cheating never occurred. Maybe nothing physical crossed the line. Even then, pain remains intact. Emotional injury does not require physical proof. Absence alone builds it. This open loop tightens. If cheating stays unproven, then what drives the divorce papers? If behavior alone caused this rupture, then repair demands more than denial. It demands recognition. And until recognition appears, the story stays unresolved, because the real question lingers in the quiet spaces between scenes. What hurts more, betrayal, or realizing presence, never ranked first. At this point, the story shifts from events to impact. Not labels, not diagnoses. Behavior and effect. Trust does not collapse from one incident alone. Trust erodes through repetition. Small breaks stack. Missed calls. Dismissed feelings. Promises softened into jokes. Each moment feels survivable until the weight adds up. A single betrayal shocks. Repeated boundary breaks exhaust. Exhaustion changes decisions. When a partner learns what to expect, hope shrinks. Hope shrinking hurts more than anger. Anger burns hot and fades. Exhaustion sits quietly and stays. Add a child into that equation, and stakes rise fast. Parenting amplifies risk. Nights out stop being personal choices. They turn into shared consequences. One parent staying out means the other stays alert. Sleep breaks, routine breaks, security breaks. Children sense the change even when adults whisper. This is why people reacted strongly to the timing. Not because nightlife shocked anyone, because Christmas with a child carries meaning. Because absence on symbolic nights lands heavier than absence on ordinary ones. Repetition teaches a lesson. Presence feels optional. If one night feels survivable, but the pattern feels permanent, the pattern becomes the real injury. Yara's live stream fits into this frame. Some viewers label it manipulation. Others label it performance. Both miss the emotional function. Public distress appears when private distress stalls. Broadcasting pain does not always aim to punish. Often it aims to be seen. Loneliness drives people toward witnesses. When a partner feels unreachable, the audience fills the gap. A live stream replaces a missing conversation. It becomes proof of experience rather than a demand for sympathy. Yara does not stage theatrics. She sits. She holds her child. She breathes through discomfort. That restraint matters. Manipulation seeks reaction. Distress seeks relief. Relief comes from acknowledgement. Another layer sits beneath. Safety. Emotional safety cracks when predictability vanishes. Waiting through the night with no update forces the mind into worst-case loops. Those loops do not need facts. They feed on silence. Silence trains fear faster than any accusation ever could. Trust erosion logic explains why a single denial fails to repair damage. Denial speaks to facts. Trust responds to patterns. Repair requires recognition of harm. Recognition requires listening without defense. Defense stalls repair. This logic also explains why viewers split. People with single-incident frameworks focus on cheating proof. People with erosion frameworks focus on behavior history. Both frameworks exist. Only one fits the lived experience of repeated boundary breaks. The live stream becomes a turning point because it exposes the internal shift. Internal shifts happen before paperwork. By the time someone shares pain publicly, the private threshold already broke. That does not mean the decision finished. It means tolerance ended. Which brings the open question forward. Was this live stream a cry for help or a line in the sand? Those options are not opposites. A cry for help often includes a boundary. A boundary often emerges from unmet cries. Yara's choice to go live does not answer motive. It reveals state. Distress reached a level where silence felt heavier than scrutiny. When scrutiny feels lighter than waiting alone, something already changed. Uncertainty remains. Distress does not equal departure. Boundaries do not equal finality. People draw lines hoping someone notices. Others draw lines preparing to leave. As viewers, the only honest position sits between certainty and suspicion. Trust erosion does not resolve overnight. It unfolds through choices that follow. And until the next choice appears, the meaning of that live stream stays open, suspended between plea and goodbye. The tone shifts here because the story stops being about one night and starts being about years. Zoom out, and the arc looks familiar. Jovi and Yara enter the show as a party couple. Fast travel, loud nights, playful fights that reset by morning. The chaos felt mutual. The energy matched. Viewers accepted it because both people seemed to want the same life speed. Then, reality changed the pace. Marriage. A baby. Responsibility arrived before habits fully adjusted. Parenthood rewrites priorities fast. Sleep matters. Safety matters. Presence matters. One person adapted quicker. The other stayed tied to an older rhythm. That gap widened quietly. On screen, growth appeared to happen. Jovi talked about settling down. Yara talked about building stability. Fans believed the shift stuck. The show framed them as a couple who survived early chaos and matured together. That framing matters now, because it explains the whiplash. Whiplash hits when belief collides with behavior. Viewers thought the party phase closed. Christmas night reopened it. The contrast shocked people because it felt like a rewind. A rewind after a child feels heavier than a rewind between adults alone. This is where belief breaks, because when viewers invest in growth, regression feels personal. Mismatch sits at the center, not love absence. Pace, mismatch. One partner measures fun as release. The other measures peace as security. Those definitions clash harder under pressure. Parenting leaves little room for compromise around safety and presence. When one parent stays out, the other absorbs the risk. The show rewards extremes, loud nights, big reactions, dramatic tension. Calm routines rarely survive edits. Couples who evolve into stability lose screen time. Couples who repeat chaos stay visible. That incentive structure matters when judging behavior. Yara's evolution moved toward predictability. Jovi's image stayed linked to nightlife. The show reinforced that identity. Fans laughed early on. Later, laughter turned into concern. Once concern replaces humor, tolerance drops. Notice how the role that once sold episodes starts eroding trust once real life raises the stakes. This explains audience confusion. People ask why Yara reacts so strongly now. The answer lives in expectation. She believed growth happened. She believed certain nights were behind them. When old patterns resurface after promises of change, disappointment sharpens faster than anger. From Jovi's side, identity conflict shows up. Party guy versus husband. Carefree versus responsible. Shifting identity takes time. Resistance often appears before acceptance. That resistance reads as regression to those waiting for change. The show never pauses for adjustment. Filming continues. Pressure stays high. Old habits resurface under stress. Viewers watch without seeing private negotiations that failed before cameras rolled. This zoomed-out view reframes Christmas night. It stops looking random. It starts looking symbolic. A moment where two life speeds collided and neither yielded. The open question tightens. Growth happened in words. Did it happen in behavior? Fans struggle because they trusted the edit. They trusted the arc. Feeling fooled creates anger. Pressure builds because roles feel locked. The show benefits from Party Jovi. Yara suffers from Party Jovi. Marriage cannot run on edited identities. Real life demands alignment. The tension rises because the next step forces choice. Stay the role. Change the role. Or leave the role behind. And when reality collides with television reward systems, something usually breaks. A fair read matters here, because one-sided stories feel easy and rarely stay honest. Jovi does not exist as a cartoon villain. Many fans raise defenses worth hearing. Work stress tops the list. Long rotations. Time away from home. Pressure to decompress fast once back. Filming adds another layer. Cameras follow mistakes. Old habits surface under spotlight rather than privacy. Those points explain behavior. Explanation differs from permission. Stress explains why someone drinks. Stress does not repair the effect of absence. Filming pressure explains why nights look louder on screen. Filming pressure does not explain staying out on Christmas without contact. Another defense surfaces often. Old habits die slowly. Growth takes time. True. Change rarely flips overnight. Yet growth still leaves footprints. Small adjustments show effort. Texts. Check-ins. Earlier returns. Present signals progress more than promises ever will. Hold this thought, because explanation without repair keeps repeating the same damage cycle. Fans defending Jovi often focus on intent. No plan to hurt. No plan to abandon. No plan to humiliate. Intent matters morally. Impact matters relationally. A marriage lives in impact. Parenting lives in impact. Waiting at home with a child lives in impact. Intent sits inside the actor. Impact lands on the partner. When those two drift apart, conflict grows. Denying harm because harm was not intended skips accountability. Accountability begins once harm gets named and addressed. Work stress deserves empathy. Long absences strain any couple. Stress still requires management. Stress does not erase responsibility. Many parents work hard jobs and still come home. Effort shows through prioritization. Another argument surfaces. TLC pushes party footage. Editing exaggerates. Scenes lack full context. True. Editing compresses hours into minutes. Editing still uses real footage. Cameras did not invent a strip club visit. Cameras did not invent absence overnight. Editing shapes perception, yet behavior supplies raw material. Old identity struggles also earn fair consideration. Party persona once rewarded attention. Shifting away from rewarded behavior feels uncomfortable. Losing identity feels scary. Fear explains resistance. Fear does not excuse repeated boundary breaks after commitments change. From Jovi's side, denial focuses on the loudest accusation, because loud accusations feel easiest to refute. Cheating denial feels clean. Saying no closes a door. Emotional repair stays messier. Emotional repair requires listening without defense. Defense keeps distance intact. Fans asking for grace point toward intention again. Good heart, bad execution. Many relationships survive poor execution. Survival still requires acknowledgement. Without acknowledgement, resentment grows quietly. This counterpoint matters because demonizing behavior blocks understanding. Understanding still demands responsibility. Two truths coexist. Stress exists. Harm exists. One does not erase the other. The open loop tightens around intent versus impact. Did Jovi intend damage? Probably not. Did damage occur? Yes. Repair depends on which truth guides response. Choosing intent delays repair. Choosing impact opens repair. Tension stays unresolved because response remains incomplete. Denial answers one question. Silence answers none. Growth demands more than stating what did not happen. Growth demands addressing what did. And until impact receives equal weight as intent, uncertainty stays alive, hanging between explanation and excuse, waiting for the next move to reveal which path this marriage follows. The focus returns to Yara now, not as a spouse reacting to a night out, but as a mother managing risk alone. Motherhood rewires fear. Decisions stop being about tolerance and start being about safety. Nights feel longer. Silence feels louder. When support sits far away across borders, loneliness sharpens fast. Cultural distance matters here. Yara left family, language rhythms, holiday traditions. In the United States, support systems take time to rebuild. Friends replace relatives. Routines replace rituals. When the person meant to anchor those routines disappears overnight, the ground shifts. Drinking hurts trust. Leaving overnight fractures it. Drinking still implies return. Absence without notice removes predictability. Predictability equals safety for parents. Without it, the mind fills gaps with worst-case loops. Those loops escalate quickly when a child sleeps nearby. Absence triggers fear loops because it removes information. No update forces imagination. Imagination rarely stays kind at 3 a.m. Even if nothing terrible happened, the mind travels there anyway. That journey leaves residue. Residue changes future reactions. This is the point where behavior stops feeling careless and starts feeling unsafe, and safety fears rewrite boundaries fast. Yara's loneliness shows in small moments. Holding Mylah tighter, speaking slower, pausing before sentences. Those details matter more than captions. They reveal someone calculating stability in real time. Calculations change when children enter the equation. The divorce papers enter as symbol before outcome. Paperwork restores order after chaos. It names structure when life feels unstructured. It turns waiting into action. That shift matters psychologically. Action calms anxiety more than hope ever could. Paperwork does not equal departure automatically. It equals preparedness. Preparedness reduces fear. Fear pushes people toward drastic steps. Paper pushes people toward clarity. In moments of chaos, clarity feels like relief. Notice how paper replaces silence. Because once silence feels unbearable, structure becomes comfort. Some viewers call the papers leverage. Others call them finality. Both interpretations sit close. Leverage pressures change. Finality accepts loss. The difference rests in follow-up behavior. Paper alone cannot tell intention. Yara avoids grand statements. That restraint suggests awareness. Overstating locks people into positions. Understating leaves room. Room allows movement. Movement allows repair if repair remains possible. From a maternal lens, leverage and finality blur. Protecting a child often means preparing for worst outcomes while hoping for best ones. Hope does not prevent planning. Planning does not cancel hope. Both coexist. The emotional weight thickens because the decision space narrows. Every choice now carries consequences beyond hurt feelings. Stability matters. Predictability matters. Safety matters. Love still matters. But love no longer leads the list alone. Fans who focus only on marriage miss this shift. Parenthood changes thresholds. Actions once tolerated cross lines once a child watches. Waiting alone with a baby recalibrates what feels acceptable. The open question presses harder now. Was the paperwork meant to force recognition or to mark the end? The answer hides in what comes next. Repair language or exit language. Presence or distance. Acknowledgement or defense. Until that answer appears, emotion hangs heavy. Fear does not disappear overnight. Trust does not rebuild through denial. Hope survives quietly, even while preparing for loss. This moment lands heavy because it holds two truths at once. A mother protecting stability. A marriage standing on uncertain ground. And the weight of that balance presses down, waiting for the next step to decide which truth takes over. At this stage, the lens pulls back again, because this story does not live only inside a marriage. It lives inside a machine built to reward conflict. TLC knows alcohol stories sell. Nightlife footage sells. The edit leans toward moments that spark reaction. Calm conversations rarely survive the cut. Chaos does. Alcohol appears often in this franchise for a reason. It loosens tongues. It accelerates mistakes. It creates footage with built-in tension. Producers do not need to invent drama when environments already supply it. A strip club offers instant stakes. Jealousy. Judgment. Moral. Lines. Cameras linger there because viewers do. Strip clubs stay in the cut because they simplify narrative. They create a clear visual villain without long explanations. A quiet night out with friends does not travel as far. A loud club scene travels everywhere. That choice shapes audience perception long before context arrives. Audience anger rises fast. People feel protective of Yara. They feel defensive of family norms. They project their own boundaries onto the screen. Anger fuels engagement. Engagement fuels reach. Reach rewards production. This cycle repeats across seasons. Notice how emotion becomes currency. Because the louder the reaction, the longer the story stays alive. Production incentives favor escalation. A marriage resolving conflict quietly ends storylines. A marriage cracking publicly extends them. That reality creates discomfort for viewers who want authenticity and also want drama. Those desires conflict. Who benefits from escalation becomes the quiet question. TLC benefits through ratings. Social media accounts benefit through clicks. Commentary channels benefit through debate. Even fans benefit through participation. The only people who lose consistently are those living inside the conflict. This does not mean scenes are fake. Scenes still come from real choices. Editing frames those choices toward impact. Impact attracts viewers. Viewers argue. Arguments keep clips circulating. Audience anger often targets individuals. Rarely does it target structure. Structure stays invisible. Yet, structure decides what footage gets airtime. Structure decides which moments repeat in previews. Structure decides what feels like the core issue. Jovi's nightlife footage stays visible because it fits an established role. Yara's distress stays visible because it fits a counter role. Roles simplify storytelling. Simplified roles flatten complexity. When roles harden, nuance disappears, and marriages turn into story devices. Viewers feel torn. They want to defend Yara. They want fairness for Jovi. They also want answers. Production rarely provides closure. Closure ends episodes. Open loops keep audiences returning. This raises suspicion. Are we watching a real marriage crack under pressure, or a storyline crest at peak tension? The two can overlap. Reality television often lives in that overlap. Real pain meets amplified framing. Suspicion grows when scenes align too cleanly with narrative needs. Christmas timing. Strip club visuals. Public posts. Each piece lands with cinematic rhythm. That rhythm feels unsettling because life rarely arranges itself so neatly. Yet life under cameras adapts. People learn how moments land. They learn what footage survives. Conscious or not, behavior shifts. Awareness alters authenticity without erasing it. Audience anger turns toward judgment. Judgment keeps engagement alive. Suspicion grows alongside it. Viewers start questioning motives beyond the marriage. Was this moment encouraged? Was this moment prolonged? Was this moment framed for effect? No clear answers arrive. Production never explains its hand. Silence breeds doubt. Doubt feeds speculation. Speculation extends the story further. The open question sharpens. Are viewers witnessing a relationship hitting its breaking point, or a narrative hitting its high? The truth likely sits between. Real stress meets incentivized framing. Suspicion lingers because once you see the machine, you cannot unsee it. And when trust erodes both inside the marriage and outside it, every next scene carries double weight, leaving viewers alert, wary, and waiting for proof of which story they are really watching. The story bends again here, because paperwork does not always end marriages. In this franchise, filings appear often. Completions appear less often. Viewers who watched long enough know the pattern. Couples reach a breaking point. File documents, separate briefly, then return with new rules. Others file and never look back. The same action opens two very different doors. History matters, but only what aired. We have seen couples announce splits, file papers, then pause once emotions cool. We have also seen couples push paperwork through once clarity replaces hope. Filing marks seriousness. It does not guarantee outcome. This is where reversal enters. The same document that signals finality to some signals boundary to others. A boundary forces choice. Stay and change, or leave and accept loss. That fork explains why filings spike during emotional peaks. Two theories shape interpretation. Cooling off theory suggests space lowers intensity. Time apart interrupts escalation. Distance allows reflection. Papers function as pause button, not exit ramp. Exit theory frames filing as decision already made. Paper formalizes emotional departure. Public disclosure follows internal closure. Under this view, reconciliation remains unlikely. Hold this tension, because the same action supports both theories until behavior reveals which one applies. Which theory fits here depends on Yara's pattern, not one post. Look at restraint. Look at wording. Look at absence of accusation. Those details suggest deliberation rather than impulsive destruction. Deliberation aligns more with boundary setting than immediate exit. Yet, look at timing. Morning after Christmas. Emotion, still raw. That timing leans toward reaction. Reaction aligns more with cooling off than long-planned departure. Mixed signals keep certainty out of reach. Audience debate intensifies because viewers read themselves into the decision. People who left after similar nights see finality. People who stayed after similar nights see leverage. Personal history colors interpretation. Yara's public silence after posting matters. No follow-up rant. No daily updates. Silence can signal processing. Silence can also signal resolve. Again, dual meanings coexist. Watch what stays unsaid, because silence often reveals more than explanation ever could. Cooling off theory also accounts for safety planning. Parents prepare for worst outcomes while hoping for repair. Filing papers creates security. Security reduces panic. Reduced panic opens space for conversation. Exit theory accounts for cumulative exhaustion. Patterns eventually drain tolerance. At some point, paperwork feels like relief, not threat. Relief suggests emotional closure already occurred. The show history adds another layer. Couples who reconcile often do so off-camera first. On screen, resolution appears sudden. Viewers misread timeline because cameras compress months into minutes. Yara's behavior does not settle the debate yet. She has not celebrated freedom. She has not announced separation logistics. She has not detailed grievances. That absence leans toward unresolved decision. At the same time, paperwork moves beyond talk. It signals seriousness beyond argument. It raises stakes. Stakes pressure response. The ninth open loop tightens around fit. Which theory matches her actions more closely? Boundary setting with hope attached, or exit planning with emotions trailing behind. Anticipation builds because the next move answers it. Presence answers it. Apology answers it. Defense answers it. Silence answers it too. Viewers wait not for words, but for alignment. Does behavior shift? Does acknowledgement appear? Does effort follow? Or does distance widen? Until then, the filing sits suspended between pause and end, holding the story in a narrow corridor where either outcome still feels possible, and that possibility keeps attention locked on what comes next. The payoff circles back to the night where everything tilted. Christmas night mattered more than the place he went. Location distracted people. Timing told the truth. Being absent on a night built around family sends a message no denial can erase. Presence is a choice. Absence is also a choice. When that choice lands on a holiday with a child waiting, the meaning multiplies. Patterns explain why this moment exploded. Alcohol showed up before. Nightlife showed up before. Minimization showed up before. What changed was context. A child. Distance from family. A partner asking for stability instead of excitement. The same behavior carried a heavier cost once life demanded something different. Accountability does not require a verdict. It requires recognition. Recognition sounds like naming harm without deflection. Recognition sounds like understanding impact without hiding behind intent. Recognition arrives before repair. Without it, paperwork stops being threat and starts being shield. This is the hinge, because when accountability shows up late, consequences arrive early. Yara's actions read as protection, not punishment. Protection of routine. Protection of emotional safety. Protection of a child who felt the night even without understanding it. Paperwork becomes a tool when conversation loses force. Tools appear when trust feels unstable. Jovi's denials narrowed the frame. They addressed fidelity while skipping presence. Presence was the injury. Presence was the request. Until presence becomes the focus, the story cannot move forward. Cheating might never be proven. The damage already exists without proof. The audience learned something uncomfortable through this arc. Growth spoken aloud does not equal growth lived out. Change needs follow-through. Follow through needs prioritization. Prioritization shows up on nights that matter. Remember this feeling, because stories like this never hinge on one mistake, they hinge on what happens after it. No verdict fits cleanly. Condemnation feels easy and incomplete. Defense feels sympathetic and insufficient. Reality sits between. Stress exists. Harm exists. Repair demands more than explanation. It demands altered behavior. What happens next decides which theory wins. Cooling off or exit. Boundary or goodbye. Words will matter less than presence. Apologies will matter less than patterns shifting. Silence will speak loudly either way. This marriage now stands at the point where paperwork meets reality. Documents ask questions behavior must answer. Does accountability arrive? Does prioritization change? Does presence return? The next chapter does not live in Instagram posts or edited scenes. It lives in daily choices cameras may never show, and that is exactly why the outcome stays uncertain. If you want to understand how couples move once paperwork stops being symbolic and starts shaping real life, stay close. The next story follows what happens when legal steps collide with emotional truth, and why many relationships fail or survive in that narrow space after the cameras pull back.